Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Here we are today. I just got my morning coffee all ready to go, getting back into this. Sorry it was a little bit since the last video. They did have a update to the game where they added a new DLC. Just wanted to make sure, all the mods are still working correctly, everything like that. Didn't want to accidentally break this game right after I made it, which would be pretty funny. But anyways, today I kind of want to move forward with some more of kind of setting the baseline for the city. I know I just kind of plopped down some apartment buildings last time, didn't do anything too crazy, but this time around I want to make sure the city gets all the basic services it needs to run correctly. And then we will start with some more ambitious ideas, hopefully, by the end of this. So I know for sure we need some education. So that's one thing we can start with today. And we'll go from there. So the next important step here is making a nice little park kind of close to a lot of the apartments here, and of course getting rid of some more of these pesky rocks that are just everywhere for some reason. And it's funny because normally when you place a road it should automatically get rid of these things, but I'm not really sure why they're all staying. Don't worry, I will get rid of all these rocks soon. We will make a nice flat landscape with no random boulders in the middle of the road, because that would be kind of a hazard, I guess. But I think one really important thing for cities is making good green spaces. It's part of making a city more livable. If you just have the concrete jungle mentality, it's not really gonna make for an enjoyable living environment. I think you'll get pretty tired of it after a while. And sometimes you just want like a nice place with a bunch of trees and trails to go and relax, even if you are living in the midst of a concrete jungle. Not all of us can go out to the forest 10 miles away or whatever and enjoy it that way. Sometimes you just want to be able to just walk right down the street and go somewhere that's nice and relaxing. So in addition to that, we also need to put some stores here, because if we just have apartments, it's going to be very boring. We need somewhere for everyone to go and spend their money and contribute to the economy and stuff. So these are some cool little buildings that I found in the workshop that I really like. They're just kind of wall-to-wall commercial. The bottoms kind of auto-populate with some generic storefronts and whatnot. Obviously no rhyme or reason to this. There isn't a ton of customization in this realm, although I think there are some mods or something that you can make it a bit more customizable. But for now, like I said, I just kind of want to lay the basic frameworks here and just make some base areas, and then we can go on with the beautification aspect more so in later episodes. In fact, I might even do some of that sort of stuff off camera and then just kind of come back with a nice little overview video of things that I've done, because going through and doing all that tedious beautification, placing trees, roadside props, all that sort of thing is kind of boring sometimes. Sometimes it's just nice to see the finished product and not have to watch me do every little thing individually. But I think it's a nice little start. I know it's kind of hard when you think of real cities. I mean, they don't just say, hey, we're going to build a city here, and then they just start. It kind of is built up over time. Like it's a little village at first, and then they expand, and then they grow up and they grow out. So building a city from scratch in this sense, it might look a little bit awkward at first, but I assure you that once we get going with this, it's going to come together and look a lot more organic. And there's always room to change things that we've done early on. There's always room to demolish and start over, especially in a fictional game, of course. But that's always something to keep in mind. We just want to build all the sort of basic areas right now, and then we can kind of take a bigger look and go from there. Speaking of bigger looks, I've got a nice giant statue here because I don't know, it's cool. I'm a big fan of cool stuff like that, just having big statues, big parks, big plazas, areas that people can just go and feel a sort of unique aspect to their city that helps it stand out from the rest. And yeah, I mean, I think one of the main centerpieces I want to do for this eventually is kind of make like a big city square sort of thing that you would see in maybe a European city, where there's just like a massive square with like a cathedral or like a museum or something like that, and maybe like a clock tower or something cool. I know there's a cool clock tower asset in this game, maybe at the other end of it, and be like a nice little place surrounded by restaurants and all that kind of stuff. That's sort of one of my favorite places for sure. I mean, having lived in Italy for a while, if anyone's ever been there, you know that every major city in Italy has like this awesome picturesque sort of city center plaza sort of area, whether it be like Milan or Rome or Florence or wherever. So that's something I definitely want to try and replicate later on. But for now, we're just going to keep going on with kind of making the basic services here and continuing to get rid of all these random rocks because, like I said, I don't know, a lot of rocks in this map. But yeah, I mean, so I have the commercial services building, I have the crematorium, I need like a police station, fire station, maybe some other education assets. I still need to build a high school actually, so I'm gonna probably do that here and then we'll keep going. All right, so this next little area, I want to kind of make like an impromptu sort of street market thing right next to the main train station. This is also one of my favorite aspects of like a good and walkable city is having like an awesome like street market area sort of. And that's something, actually, this could be an interesting discussion topic, one that might even merit its own video. But I would say, so I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately on, people going out and trying street food and, in different countries, different cities and whatnot. And it made me kind of reflect on, well, what do we have like this in America? And honestly, I think that's one thing that we're really lacking in. I mean, I think about my city in particular, and if I were to say like, hey, can I go out and on the street and try a bunch of street food? Well, the answer is no, because there's like not any pretty much. I mean, you go walk around and there's just stores, there's just, roads for cars. There's not any sort of bustling street life like that. I mean, there's just really not. Whereas maybe you go to cities in other parts of the world and it's the complete opposite. There's all sorts of street life. There's all sorts of impromptu little vendors and markets and whatnot. And that's kind of where these YouTubers are making these sorts of videos, but it's something that it can't really be replicated in America as far as I'm concerned. I mean, maybe in some cities, maybe some of the bigger ones like New York or New York City or something like that might have more to offer in that realm, but it's not something that I've really experienced where I've lived. So it's something that I'm a bit jealous of, not gonna lie, because usually it's cheap, it's homemade, homemade. It's made right in front of you, It's not like a mass produced sort of thing in the same sense like somewhere like McDonald's or something. But yeah, and so that's kind of what I'm building right now is just this little street markets. I love these little terraces or whatever that are they're with the base game, like with the umbrellas and all that stuff. I think they had a really nice little, like just hangout aspect sort of thing. Couple of pubs, couple of whatever. I think maybe there would be some better assets on the store I could find to kind of make this a little bit better. Like I said, maybe in the future I'll kind of amplify this a little bit. But the pedestrians, the plazas and promenades DLC really added this cool street market here, so it's kind of nice just to put that in. And then this really obnoxious, like, colorful building because we want to be unique, right? So why not? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. So we're gonna move forward here with building a nice little tram network for our city. It's one of my favorite methods of transportation personally. We have it in our city here. I've also been to multiple places around the world where they have good tram systems. When I was living in Italy, they have a whole ton of tram lines in Rome. Also, even in Morocco and parts of Africa where I went, they had a nice little tram system there. So it's definitely something that's pretty widespread, and I think for good reason. It's slightly less confusing than like a metro line, for example, where maybe especially if you don't speak the language of where you're going and you see all these signs and all these, you get lost because you're underground and you don't have your sense of direction anymore. It's nice to be able to just hop on and see exactly where you're going and be able to kind of get off whenever you see something that looks good or whenever you're at a area of the city that looks good to you. So I think it's definitely up there in terms of transportation. Things like metro and stuff have their uses. They're probably easier to construct in the sense that you can just build underground. You don't have to worry about current above ground infrastructure, getting around all that and whatnot. But course, it's easy for us because we are building the city from scratch and we have absolutely nothing in the way. But that's not reality, is it? So, we will see where this one goes and we'll expand it in the future and make a nice little tram network throughout the whole city. Alright, so that's kind of it for this video. Not too long, not too short, I hope. But I'm definitely going to be doing a kind of bigger play session coming up here, and then I'll split that into a few different videos. I think what's next, now that I have most of like the kind of core sorts of things you need for a city, I got all my public services, hospitals, some decent living spaces and whatnot, some commercial areas. What I want to do now is, so this is kind of like a beachfront city sort of. So I want to make a really solid beachfront that there's actually these assets in the store that I saw that lets you have like a functional beach with actual people there. So I want to try and experiment with that a little bit, and of course we'll see what happens. But I have some really good ideas for making a cool beachfront. We'll expand this tram line. We'll put some stuff along the road, and we'll go from there and kind of see. So we'll definitely see some more of that. And in terms of what comes after that, well, you're just going to have to keep watching and stay tuned. So yeah, thanks for watching so much, and I hope to see you guys next time.